after the game, there's kind of two sides of the Niners fan base. It's kind of divided. There's a civil war among Niner fans, and there's like it's pretty much pro Jimmy, anti Jimmy, and it was a tough week for pro Jimmy, and no one could defend Jimmy after this performance. No one was saying, "Hey, Jimmy didn't play as bad as you think." Everyone agreed on that, but I think the pro Jimmy stands really wanted to pass out the blame, and they're saying, "Yeah, Jimmy stunk, but what about the defense too?" D'Amico Ryans didn't adjust. Corners got roasted. Nick Bosa didn't have a sack. The defense couldn't stop him on 3rd and 20, whatever. All those 3rd and long conversions. The defense is just as. I mean, the defense gave it up at the end, right? The offense was clutch, and the defense was not. So really, it's the defense's fault once again, just like Green Bay Week 3. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't understand it at all. I thought the defense played an outstanding game. First of all, Thursday night games are not made for defenses, especially Thursday night games that are cross country on the road. It's against a physical football team. If there's one thing you can say about Tennessee in both lines, they're very physical. They play a very physical brand of football. I mean, their defense was flying around and hitting all day on Thursday, and so it's not made for defense. That's one thing. Mm-hmm. Before I get into my defense of the defense, quote unquote, I do want to say I thought the defense had two really, really bad plays in this game. The one was Arden Key jumping off sides on 3rd and 23. That should never happen. That was a bad play. And then the other one was the Ryan Tannehill run. K'Wan Williams, one of the surest tacklers on the team, just getting juked in the alley and essentially missing. I mean, it won't go down as a missed tackle because technically he didn't attempt to tackle, but that's a tackle he should make for a 5-yard gain. He missed the tackle, and that was a bad play by
K'Wan
Williams.
Yeah,
but otherwise, I thought the defense played a phenomenal game. Look, people want to point to what the defense did in the second half and all those 3rd down conversions. If you go back and watch them, right, everybody says, I saw this. Smart, according to a certain someone, I mean, I feel like now we're bringing him up on the daily, weekly on this show, but he said smart football fans will see that only 7 guys had to cover 3 people. First of all, if you understand how zone defense works, when they went max protection, which was a 7-man protection, they did it the entire second half on drop back situations. Their entire idea was they know they can't block this Niners D line, so they're going to try to maximize the time for their quarterback. They did that. That was the first thing. The Niners played a lot of zone coverage in that second half. They struggled to get pressure on those drop back 3rd downs. I know the Niners defensive line overall had a good game, but on those 3rd downs in specific, when they went with the 7-man protection, the Niners 4-man rush was not getting pressure. And when you have a quarterback with like Ryan Tannehill, who's 1, smart, 2, understands zone coverage, 3, knows how to manipulate space in a defense, and 4, will willingly stand tall in the pocket and wait for receivers to get open down the field and pull the trigger in tighter windows and make big-time throws, you can convert 3rd downs even though it's 3 against 7, quote unquote, because Tannehill was creating space in the zone defense. He was using his eyes to manipulate that space, and he made a few big-time throws. He had the out route to A.J. Brown. That was a great throw. He had the one to the number 15. He has 2 names in his last name. I always forget his name. He threw one through a keyhole to him by moving Tart left. Tart has to respect his eyes, and then he fit that right back. He actually threw 2. One was in the first half. One was in the second half. The one jump ball to A.J. Brown, sure, we can get on Ambry Thomas, but Ambry Thomas had 2 wins at the catch point earlier in that game. A.J. Brown's really, really good. He's going to get you at the end of the game at some point. And then, people talk about, they couldn't cover one guy. They couldn't cover A.J. Brown. Tennessee has a really good defense. They also were getting beat up and down the field by one guy, and that one guy's name was Deebo Samuel. It's really hard if you have an offense that knows how to use a player with a specific skill set, moves them around within the offense. It's really hard to take that guy away. We've seen the Niners dominate games. We have George Kittle had 2 of the greatest tight end statistical games in a row. 2 weeks in a row earlier this season. Why was that? Kyle Shanahan knows how to use George Kittle. Defenses are trying to take away George Kittle. They're unable to because Shanahan is smart and is able to still get him the ball. That's kind of what happened. They were able to move A.J. Brown around. Tannehill was aggressive, and he made some big-time throws. I mean, the touchdown throw he made, I understand, Josh Norman's not the best corner, but he basically threw that maybe a half a step behind, but he threw an absolute rocket shot. That reminded me of the touchdown Michael Crabtree caught in the 2012 NFC Championship game that Colin Kaepernick absolutely ripped it. It was like a 19-yard touchdown. The second touchdown he caught in that game, it was an absolutely great throw. So really, the defense played a great game. Tennessee is going to make plays. They have a good quarterback. They had a good plan with the 7-man protections. A.J. Brown is really good. Tennessee is bound to make plays, and they made a couple plays. The defense really had 2 bad plays. But if you're telling me they're going to essentially give up 13 points because 7 points were spotted by a Jimmy Garoppolo pick that allowed Tennessee to start at their own 18, and they're gonna stop them in 2 sudden change situations. One was the first pick by Garoppolo in the red zone, and then the other one was the 30-yard punt by Mitch Wishnowsky that put the Titans to start at their own 50-yard line, and they would get 0 points from that. And on a short week, they would allow only 13 points essentially on the road. Like any NFL team should put that in their back pocket. The defense is really good. They played a hell of a game. And one last thing for the D'Amico doesn't adjust crowd. So they had this 7-man protection plan that was converting third downs, right? The last third down of the game, the third down that allowed the Niners to get the ball back at their own 5-yard line and go on that 95-yard drive, he brought a 6-man pressure. He blitzed.
Yeah.
And he got a sack.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I thought the defense played really well. My only critique was with D'Amico, and it's the same critique I've had for Robert Saleh in the past. And I always thought Robert Saleh was elite, and I think he is deserving of becoming of the head coaching job he got. And I think D'Amico should become a head coach too. I've talked with Saleh about this, and I guess he disagrees, and he and D'Amico are very similar. So I guess this is who they are. They're very much end up being sound on defense, and I don't think they really like to tilt their defense to like, double cover people and just take them out. Like Vrabel in this game decided they didn't want Kittle to beat him, so they let Debo go off. But they were very, very conscientious of bracketing and just doing a lot of different things to take Kittle out. I think I would like to see both Saleh and D'Amico do that, because 16 targets for A.J. Brown, can't you cut that down to 8? I mean, you can't shut down A.J. Brown, of course, but 11 for 16. I mean, no one else is going to hurt you. That's the only thing. That's my only critique. But again, like as you pointed out, they essentially gave up 13 points. They really, really played well. I just think, and it goes for Saleh too. I've talked to him about it. I'd like to see them do that. No, and that's something that the Belichick tree is really good at.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. They won't do something unconventional the way the Ravens tried to do 2 weeks ago against Devontae Adams, where you got 2 guys basically lining up over the top of them. That's not what they do.
They won't do that.
They did something similar, actually, the first third down that he converted to Michael Pruitt in the last drive. Before he brought the blitz and got the sack with Samson Ebukam, they did end up doubling A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown was lined up in the slot to the boundary, and Fred Warner basically got depth, and he dropped all the way through, and he was running a seam through the flat. And the issue was Fred Warner got so much depth that Ryan Tannehill just came down and threw a little shallow cross to Michael Pruitt. And, people got on Al-Shaair, but Al-Shaair is supposed to pass him off because ideally Warner isn't getting that much depth. But because A.J. Brown's been killing you, he did get that much depth. So, it is a cat and mouse game a little bit. I understand what you're saying, but also, sometimes
how do you want to get beat
with a good quarterback, they can make some plays.
And I was watching Tannehill and Brown in person. Brown, oh my God, he's so good. And Tannehill, he's a really good compliment because I've watched a lot of Jimmy. Jimmy throws over the middle relentlessly. Tannehill can really put it out in the perimeter, and it's a very good compliment for A.J. Brown. Really, that team is good.
And he stands tough in the pocket in terms of it can take 2-3 seconds, and he will stand tall in there, not lose his rhythm, and look to push the ball down the field. And that's why you can convert a 3rd and 11, because he trusted the max protection and he stood in there willingly and waited for things to develop down the field and was really patient. And, unfortunately, we haven't seen a lot of quarterbacks for the 49ers do that in our lifetime, but he played a hell of a game in that, I thought, in spite of his terrible yards per attempt for 3/4 of that game.
Didn't turn the ball over. All right, let's answer some more questions. Official B&A Music 88 says it's sad to know that Jimmy could come to the line and point out the Mike linebacker pre-snap and still throw it to him, shaking my head. That was funny. Maybe he's calling his shot like Babe Ruth. Given the Niners' track record of assessing player value draft free agency, how confident are you in Kyle Lynch's ability to put the right pieces around Lance in 2022 plus? I mean, not super
question. I think that's a question for March.
Yeah. It's a question for March. I appreciate your $10 donation. I mean, obviously not super confident. If they could consolidate all their picks to the 5th round, maybe. But their record in round 1 is spotty at best. Day 2 is bad, aside from Fred Warner and Debo. So yeah, I don't know, man.
Hey, those are 2 good ones to hit, though.
But I've heard they've really been improving in their quality control, so maybe this year will be different.
Oh, really? They
Yeah,
fired you?
Yeah, no, I got a better jacket. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What corner should we get, draft or free agents? That's a March question, man. I haven't even looked at that. That's a March question. I'm sorry.
But here's what I will say.
Okay.
So regarding the corner position, I think everybody just wants to, go get a serviceable starter at corner. To me, they already have one of those. They have one of those, and he makes the right amount of money for it, and that's Emmanuel Mosley. To me, the problem with corner in the NFL is that there's very few guys who fit right where Mosley is. So I'd rather have them just develop younger guys who are a lot cheaper in their scheme, because for all the hate Josh Norman gets within their scheme, with the front 7 they have and the 2 safeties they have, Josh Norman is playing at league minimum about as well as a lot of corners who are playing for $5-6 million elsewhere, because you're giving up plays on a week-to-week basis. I mean, ideally you want a Ramsey, a Jair Alexander, a Marlon Humphrey, a Marshawn Lattimore. You want one of those guys and pay them the big bucks. But to me, to get one of those guys, you got to draft them in the top 15 at the draft.
I don't want to hear McBain says we need to stop believing in this team. Every time we start to believe, they pull this crap, man. Screw
And
Jimmy.
every time you stop believing, they go on a little 2-game run and you're back.
You'll be right back here, McBain. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. That's funny. Johns George says Vish head-to-head sweep applicable only if one club has defeated each of the other clubs. If one club has lost to each of the others.
Oh, is that true?
I don't know what he's talking about, but if it's a 3-way tie,
he was the one who said that if the Eagles, Niners, and Vikings have a 3-way tie, then the Niners get in. But how would that work? Because I don't think the Eagles and Vikings played each other.
Right.
So it would go off NFC record, right?
It would go off NFC record.
Because the Eagles and Saints played each other, and the Niners didn't play. The Niners played the Eagles, but they didn't play the Saints. And
Correct.
if the Eagles, Saints, and Niners had the same record, it would go off NFC record. So I'm assuming it would be the same thing for Eagles, Vikings. And
that's the way I think. David Sir says the timing of Jimmy's second interception basically gave the game away. Completely took the little momentum we had left. Defense was gassed.
Yeah.
And he threw one that got dropped right before then. Chaz says Texans look pretty good last game. I think they want to play spoiler versus us this week, and I think we get to see Lance if Jimmy stinks it up again. Okay. I wanted to talk about
if Jimmy stinks it up again, they probably lose. And if they probably lose, I do think we see Lance week 18 no matter what. Because if they lose this week, I think we can pretty much write him off, right?
Yeah.
If they lose this week and New Orleans wins today, I think we can write him off.
I think you're probably right. Alexander Ryan says if the Niners make the playoffs, can't see them staying out of their own way for 4 games. This team makes me want to tear my hair out. That's the thing about them. Like, once a month they're going to get in their own way at some point. Yeah, they're going to find a reason to beat themselves, and then they'll. Darnay Harvey says 3-way tie. SF NL Philly. SF is out due to worst conference record. Though SF beat Philly. Philly is in because of better record versus common opponents. Correct. Thank you.
Conference or division?
Conference.
Okay.
Frederick Peterson says, late as usual, I have to watch Jimmy smile one more time after an embarrassing loss. If I have to watch Jimmy smile one more time after an embarrassing loss, I'm going to lose it. God, I can't wait till he's gone. Yeah, I don't know what it is about Jimmy, but I think he just kind of smiles all the time no matter what. But he just like,
it's funny because people get on him, but it's not like he's one of those guys who gets overly enthused after the win. It's
just kind of an absent-minded smile. Yeah. Do you ever know people who kind of laugh for no reason? It's kind of just like
it's a nervous,
It's a nervous smile. It's a nervous, I have no idea. V. Flynn says, I think Jimmy is showing he's consistent at being inconsistent. Our defense loses confidence. We had so many blown stops. Confidence. Also, I think you lose some energy. Like, you're exhausted. It takes more energy to play defense than offense, I think. I didn't play football. If Saints win tonight, should the Niners start Lance for the last 2 games? The Saints win tonight. I think it's a little late to make that. But as you said, if the Saints win, the Niners lose, then maybe week 18, yes.
Yeah, if the Niners lose to the Texans, to me, Lance should be playing no matter what in week 18. Because that's kind of your referendum. The season is done. You
Yeah.
just put Lance out there and you see, and it's not just Lance. Trey Sermon has to play a
Yeah.
lot of snaps. Ambry Thomas, Diamador Lenore, don't play Josh Norman, even though Josh Norman, because you need to see who are your pieces for 2022. That decision needs to be made. And so you need to just put them out on the field and see how they play.
Easy Tino says the Niners are going about the cornerback position wrong. Look for wide receivers who can go both ways, pause, and then turn them into Sherman Diggs. You see what you're saying?
I thought a lot of people thought they would draft Trayvon Diggs
Was
if they
Trayvon Diggs
stayed
a wide
put.
receiver at one point in college?
Yeah.
He was. Okay. Tiebreaker
Yeah,
is division, not
division.
conference.
It's division. Yeah. That's what
Okay.
I thought.
Okay. Three-way tie, Vikings, Eagles, SF. SF defeated both Vikings and Eagles, and hence will get in. Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. That is true. If it's a three-way tie with those guys, I think that is true. That would make sense. I think that would make sense because but I don't know because the Vikings and Eagles didn't face each other. I don't know.
This is a little confusing. I'm pretty sure it just goes on division record if these three teams are a three-way tie. The same way it would if the Eagles, 49ers, and Saints were on a three-way tie. The Eagles and Vikings haven't played. It should be just off a division record. And the Niners division record, frankly, is kind of pathetic.